Sentinels, a gente vai jogar contra eles e é um time que a gente não jogou contra ainda. Acho que tô bem excitado pra jogar contra eles.
Even sticking, twisting, turning! Not enough for... No way!
Crew is a team that's very powerful. It's a really good team from LATAM. And they also have a Brazilian there, the Heat, and he's a really good player. I've played against him a lot. So yeah, it's gonna be a hard match.
What do you do with it? Corral's corrected here. Out to the side of me, revealed entirely Heat.
Começou muito bem no campeonato, ficou 5-0, depois perdemos para a LATAM. E após isso a gente foi para os playoffs. E a gente não teve uma semana muito boa de treino. Acho que isso complicou um pouco a gente não estava treinando tão bem. A gente também acontece, acho que a gente usa isso para aprendizado. E agora a gente está muito mais forte. Acho que a gente vem muito mais forte para esse próximo stage. Estamos treinando muito, se dedicando muito ao jogo. E vai dar bom.
Welcome back to day one of VCT Americas Super Week and our second match of the day.
Ooh, we missed that one.
We missed the explosion there. I'm actually disappointed. There it is. It's
it's so far away.
That's what it was.
Had to travel.
It had to travel. That makes
Science.
sense.
Science.
Like the Santa Monica Pier, not at the scale. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, actually.
Took a little while to get here, folks. Welcome back. We got ourselves a full house for this one. It's going to be Sentinels taking on Crew Visa. Of course, Golden Boy here alongside with Athena, Mimi, and Ender. And let's go ahead and jump right into this one and start things off talking about Crew, because we haven't seen this team. We didn't see them in week one. But on top of that, too, we have a Crew team that started off the season hot and then fizzled off a little bit toward the end of playoffs.
I mean, also, like, this team was so sick for so long, right? Like, Kesnet was absolutely dominating. The addition of Heat really revitalized this roster. But it was their last three games where they lose twice to Leviathan, get 2-0'd by G2 as well. Their stage one crumbled in, like, less than 8 days, maybe.
Yeah, it went from being 5-0 to losing those 3 games in a row that you're talking about. And I think the biggest question now is for a Crew that ended in disappointment, who have now had a lot of time to come back and prep to watch other teams at Shanghai. With this meta shift, there's a lot of questions as to what they're going to look like, because they have had all that time to prac a ton and really reinvent themselves for stage 2.
Yeah, and actually what I found interesting there in that piece was hearing how Crew kind of had a bit of a rough practice week as well, and that really affected them in the long term there. So, of course, you're looking to see the team kind of turn things around a little bit moving into stage 2. But let's talk about whether or not we are concerned, though, about, I don't want to say it, but like a Crew slump, potentially? Like, of course, we're coming into this stage, so there's a lot that has changed from stage 1 to stage 2, Athena. So I would reckon to say Crew still in a very good position, especially when you look at where they are in the standings.
Yeah, from that clip that we just saw, they talked about how they had a bad week of practice going into playoffs, and that affected them. So now that they've had a little bit of this extra time to kind of come back, recuperate, know what they lost, and know how to kind of counter all that, I feel like they're in a much better place, in my opinion.
Oh, we're hoping they figured it out.
Yeah, I hope they figured it out. I feel like as a team, they had the fundamentals and they had the firepower. It was just a matter of, like, execution.
Yeah, now you have to have a good 2 months of practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time. And for Crew, I think the biggest question for me is, are they going to get onto the meta stuff? Are they going to be playing the Neon? Are they going to be trying to innovate? Or are they going to go back to the same old fundamentals? Because I think we've always known Crew as a team that is oftentimes playing older comps, playing basic ideas, but just implementing on it really well. And I think they did kind of hit a floor towards the end of the season, where teams with really good prep, who were flushing out Kesnet on his lurks, who were having really good mid-rounding and beating them in that department, were getting a leg up on them, because I think they became a little bit predictable.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Can Crew survive on the fundamentals that we saw in stage 1, or do they need to adapt coming into stage 2? Is it absolutely necessary?
I think it is, primarily because of the way the meta is shifting, right? I think in stage 1, it was much easier to play a macro game that was based almost entirely around lurking, right? Like, when your Jet is allowed to lurk and it wins rounds for you, that tells you the sort of pace of the game, much slower rounds. But with people playing double initiator now, with the Breach and the Neon really taking off, you have to be so clean on the execs. And to be fair, that was something they were working a lot more into their game plan. It wasn't so one-dimensional, but that has still not been their biggest strength, and that's something that they will have to be very strong at, are those set pieces.
I think they need to make champions. I don't necessarily think they need to just make it to playoffs. They already have a 5-1 record. They're in a really good position right now. Like, even just winning a match or two could make them have a chance into the playoffs here. So it's not necessary for them to just kind of scrape by. But if they want to be the best they can be, I think they really need to try some new stuff here.
Yeah, good perspectives there, of course. But let's go ahead and hear from Coach Adam of Crew to see what's going on for the team as we get ready for today's matchup.
Hi, Adam. So Crew had such a strong year at first. They've dropped 3 straight. So how are we going to bounce back for stage 2?
I think that our failure is now our motivation to try to qualify again for playoffs and have a new opportunity to do it the right way.
Well, there have been a lot of duelist changes coming into the new patches. You have a star duelist on your team, Kesnet, who's sitting over there behind the camera. Is this the patch where we see him on the Neon, on the ISO?
No. We tried out, and it's not our style.
Are you lying to me right now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Well, now I don't know what to believe. My man sold it. I was so good.
That was awesome.
I believed him.
I was like, you know what? That makes sense. Yeah, no, I mean, again, it wasn't just, no, okay, he's a liar.
My gut feeling is that they actually won't play new stuff. I would be surprised if they pull out the Neon. I feel like it's such a massive change in how they've always played the game that I think it would be surprising, but I also think it might take teams by surprise.
I think you're trolling, and I think they've had all this time. Of course they're going to have new stuff. Of course
I mean, I think they're going to have new stuff, but I don't know if it's going to be as, like, revolutionary or, like...
Reyna, ISO.
Oh, my God.
Reyna, and no, genuinely?
You are hard selling this Reyna thing.
That's the
Genuinely?
That's the
If there was a player, I would want neither of those agents.
What do you think, Brenna? Do you think that is the case here?
Okay, I think Kesnet definitely has the ability to play Neon, and I think as a team... Okay, I talked a lot last stage about Heat being such a good util player,
True.
Good support player. I feel like they can bring that over and just level up their game by putting Kesnet on the Zoomies characters. I feel like that's definitely something Crew can
plays
do.
to that like zoomy style. I don't know, like you contrast him with a guy like Zekken, who I think has always played that really quick style. Is playing some of the Neon in the past. I think has the potential for that. I feel like Kesnet has always had a bit of a slower, more passive style. It reminds me a little bit of like how Cryo plays.
It is interesting, though, that both of Zekken's games last week were on the Rays. We haven't seen that Neon out of him yet.
True, but just to go back to Mimi's point, we saw Sadak on the Neon, and it wasn't bad.
No, I think it was
just
solid.
He was facing Jogma. Like,
Sure.
You know what I mean? I feel like it wasn't bad. He had a slow, methodical approach to the game, and I feel like if Kesnet is going to do the same thing, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, if they have their foundation set, they have their executes ready, they have their really good support players.
I almost wonder if they would ever want to experiment with putting Heat on one of these duelist roles and switching things up a little bit.
No.
If Kesnet still wants to play the attack side,
that would be
good on support. He was so good.
That's
on
true.
his
He was ridiculous for his first time playing the role
Yeah.
last season as well.
It would be a little disappointing to see Heat off of that row after how good he was at the start. But
He was always a duelist player.
But he was always a duelist player, so you never know there. But let's go ahead and jump over to Zekken with Elizabeth and hear what he has to say.
Hi, Zekken. So last week we saw you on the Rays. This week will we see you on the ISO, the Neon, or any other agent besides Rays?
That's not up to me. I guess it depends on the maps, but I've been having a lot of fun playing all three of those agents the past few weeks, so we'll see.
Well, why didn't you play the Neon, which I think a lot of people expected you to play last week, or even the ISO?
My Rays was just feeling good that week, and on those maps we play a lot of Rays, so just sticking with it.
Sticking with it. Best of luck, homie.
All right, so of course we'll see what we end up getting out of Sentinels here today. But the thing is that after the Sentinels team had one hell of a run, they got themselves a decent break, and then they come back into the fold, and you just start to see a Sentinels team that looks scary, absolutely scary. And I think Sentinels, Mimi, are in an even better spot than what they were coming into stage one. And these guys were at the top of the world at this point. They look like a refined operation over there in the Sen camp.
They looked really solid, I think, coming out here. They didn't make massive changes like implementing Neon on every map. They didn't take the EG approach.
Yeah.
But I think where they tried new comps, it was really well put together. I like the deadlock ideas they showed on their map of Lotus. I think Sunset, this little change, switching out the KO for the breach, added a lot and set Zekken up super well. They looked drilled. All the players were in form. This looked like Sentinels back to how we expect them to play.
I feel like I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate because I felt like when I was watching NRG play, I had similar vibes as watching 100 Thieves play, where it was like not solid ground. You know what I mean? Like I feel like as a team they weren't as put together.
But I feel like the closest they got it was the second half of Sunset, where I actually thought they were calling a really good attack side. To their credit.
I feel like Sentinels have a really good, solid understanding of how they want to play. And I love the idea of Zekin being on Duelist, being able to pick and flex whoever he wants to play, whatever's feeling good that week. I feel like that's super important when it comes to Duelist, but I don't know how it plays.
I'm going to show you all the beauty they do. Let's bring up the telestrator real quickly, because I actually think what has still been such a strong strength of Sentinels is their mid-round calling, specifically out of John QT. In this round, it opens with a fight over rubble control, where they get a very early pick. But in classic John QT fashion, they don't accelerate from this. And one thing they actually end up seeing is they see that the baby door here gets spammed down to next to nothing. And what John reads is that there is going to be some kind of a trap play set up in this grass area. So he calls for his team to reset into the round, and we're going to fast forward here very quickly. Basically, he sent 3 of his teammates back to go front B, and they're going to bait out this fight into grass. And they do that by about 5 seconds ago. John, who's here now, he hit the door, and he actually sent a crouch nade at baby door. Now the door is still closed, but it goes through and it hits the Cypher on that side, so they can't instantly fight out into that space. The defense team off of the door tapping or the orb being hit wants to fight back into grass, but instead they're stalled out, and it opens up the timing for those 3 players of Sentinels to run up front B and land a nasty combo. Paranoia, you have a seize, you have a nade. Some barely dodges the seize, so he ends up surviving, but even after that, Sentinels still scale in very nicely and get the trade into baby door. It's moments like these where Sentinels, after seeing that door spammed down to next to nothing, realize the play that NRG is trying to set up and call against it perfectly to take almost no fights. Like, they just got a kill and a half for free off util.
Yeah, and I think to go back to your point as well, when I was watching Sentinels, I didn't feel like they were necessarily defined by the set plays and stuff they had. I felt like it was a game that in large part was won by a lot of rounds like that from John QT on both these maps. I liked the deadlock. I think their ideas to execute with it, where they're throwing the wall over, was really, really good. This is Sen that I think made some mistakes in that NRG series, sure, but they, I think, got that win and now have an opportunity to heat up. And stylistically, I feel like they play pretty well into Crew as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of the micro plays specifically that were called that made it play out really well. And I feel like just comp-wise too, it just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it's very, very clear the work that has been put forward here by Sentinels and Ender. If anything, it just means that everyone's just going to have to fear this team going into the rest of their matches.
100%, especially if new comps keep coming. It's very hard to adjust on the fly.
Yeah, Sentinels have proven that they are a force to be reckoned with, but their opponents are no slouch whatsoever. It's Crew versus Sentinels. Let's send it over to the stage.
Riot Games Arena, es hora de la segunda serie del día. La incógnita de esta semana son ellos. Bienvenidos, Crew Pizza.
And now it's time to bring out their opponents. Make some noise, because we're not going to bring them out until you do. For your Sentinels!
Last week, Sentinels showed us all that little is going to stop them on their path to playoffs. Meanwhile, for Crew, an unknown entity coming into this one. But what we do know about this team from stage one was that they ended it with a 5-1 record and look absolutely diabolical. But the question on everyone's mind is, what are we going to see from the boys in pink?
Do we get the Crew that went 5-0 to start their season and is absolutely dominating everyone, or that fell apart towards the end of the season, lost out in that first round of playoffs? I think it all comes down to what their read is. The meta is still in flux. We've seen teams index really heavily into the Neon. We've seen squads playing some of the older stuff. I think if they have a good read, if they can come out, take Sen by surprise, they have a good chance here.
There you can see your series layout. Lotus split, and if necessary, we'll be taking a trip over toward Ascent. Ender, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, first of all, just starting on Lotus is very interesting because this is where Sentinels run that deadlock. So a little bit of tape for Crew to work with. But I also wonder if we make it to a map 3 of Ascent, are Sentinels a team that is playing that double Senti on that map too? Because we've seen in Challenge, it'd be a little bit more popular to run the Cypher and the Deadlock and just have a really, really solid hold. And I think that could be an option for Sentinels if we go there.
I feel like playstyle-wise, they can definitely do it. I just want to know if they're kind of willing to put their best foot forward and just dominate on this Lotus, because if I were Sentinels and I see my opponents picking this against me, I'm worried that they have something up. They know how to play against Sentinels.
Sure.
Not Sentinels, the team, but Sentinels.
Sentinels, the two agents.
No, I get
not confusing at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Deadlock and Cypher in particular there. But for Sentinels, I think that their comp that they play here, especially on the defensive side, is super disruptive. If you're playing a Neon comp, and let's see what they're gonna lock in, that can really get shut down. It's tough to be a dive duelist, and Crew is playing the classic. They're not changing things up whatsoever, but Sentinels have switched off the Deadlock.
Sentinels are playing the Breach here, which is crazy. Honestly, like, big shocker to me. They weren't playing flashes last week, but maybe just having multiple options in their back pocket is pretty cool. Seeing Zelsus on that, of course, gives them much faster acceleration options, but also, I think, gives them way more tools to fight aggressively over B and C space. I think those lines Bleach really likes to fight into.
I love this comp because you're so able to set up your Raze and set up Zekin for so much success with the Fade and the Breach. So going into it, knowing he's confident with that Raze, I think it's just going to play out really well for the Sentinels.
Well, let's find out how this all plays out and send it over to your casters, and one of them is ranked Silver 2 in NA servers. The question is, which one is it? Is it Brand or Sideshow? Oh, wait, he's gold. Good for him.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, one of us has ranked that. Josh.
That's not true.
Who could it be?
That's not true.
Who could it possibly be?
Immortal EU equals Silver 3 NA.
Apparently, yeah. No, we've done the boosting job. We've got you under 5 stacks. We've got him out of Silver now, so don't worry, chat. It's not too much of a problem. Sen versus Crew. That's the match that we got right now. And honestly, there's a lot to play off in terms of the playoffs and making it, but it's a bit of a stepping stone game. I think you got to take this match, one step further forward. It doesn't guarantee either of these teams to actually making the top 6 and locking it in, unlike some of the other regions. If you've been watching EMEA or Pacific, you know that a lot of those teams are already a lock for playoffs, right? It's all decided and wrapped. But in America's, a lot more parity.
Yeah, and this could end up being one of those diverging pathways where a win here or a loss here ends up sending you down the wrong route. I think a lot of people, though, have forgotten how good Crew were earlier on this year. That 5-1 record is not fraudulent in the slightest.
They had a bit of a slip-up, of course, towards the tail end of stage 1, but could easily find their footing once more. We set our sights onto this pistol round. QT just trying to tease a reaction there out of Crew.
No reaction given, though, off the turret being broken. Shy did not start to go back over towards C once the turret was broken. Crew, in fact, grouping up for a potential B hit. Reading that that's a fake. A bit of pressure being applied by John Cutie on the left side of the map.
Bring them down.
It's nice and cautious for now from Sentinels. Not running into any of these sides, just opening the door wide again, hiding the intent. Now the spike making its way over towards C, still with a heavy A-Robber control. This is 4 players of Crew committed over onto this one section. Sassy could open himself up here and potentially get punished with a horn, spotting at least 2 of them. Maybe now with that information, is going to be putting a bit of pace into the round. Not quite, still slowing it down now, grouping up, ready for the hit together. About 30 seconds left. Now, Crew are finally at least getting a few players over towards it. Shy Might be ready to at least get a few spam. No, not bullets, not going to be sent. Going to be waiting for the rest of this team now, but they are in position to try and flood back in. It's board time for them. Here it is, Nade rebounding with the paranoia, sweeping through, connecting onto 2. The aftershock at least going to delay. It's a little bit out through Waterfall. It's a heavy committal into the back of the side here by Sentinels, and with Zekken falling early, Crew should be set up for this one nicely. Just playing this one together and already flooding through with the kills. Kesnet leading the charge for his team with 3 of them, just leaving it down to Zelsis. Nade forcing them out into the open, making noise already. He's got way too much to do, and Crew capitalize fully.
That's a really sick pistol round by Crew. All of that, mind games around forcing them into C and playing the retake over there, that's all cool. That's all well and good. But you see the difference in the duelists. Kesnet picks up 3 in the round, part of his team's retake. Zekken walked alone through spawn, and look how ready they are for this. Zekken did this same protocol whenever they would take C control. In the previous game we just watched playing against NRG, he would do that same push into spawn alone to try to take some area of the map. Crew are ready. Crew have been watching last week, and you can tell right from round 1. And have Sen been studying the Crew VODs? What VODs? We haven't seen them play in 50 days.
It's been a long time. Which is odd, right? It's been a condensed season. A lot of play, a lot of games being played in a rapid sense, but
like you said, Brent, they went out fairly early on in Stage 1 playoffs, especially for a team with a 5-1 record. So they missed out on Shanghai and then had a bye in week 1 of Stage 2.
Is there any danger here, potentially, that's going on? Nah, not quite. Only 2 players still back up for Sen, John QT and Tens. No guns to do it, but back on that same train of thought. Crew have had that time off. Massive gulf in terms of the matches that they've played, so there is that semblance of unknown for Sentinels heading into this match. There's only so much preparation you can do. Pretty much full focus needs to be on yourself almost at that point.
And they've also changed their composition here on Lotus. So moving away from the Cypher Deadlock to a double initiator comp versus Crew's tried and tested. There's a lot of discussion right now about whether you should be playing the Viper or should be moving away from it on this map. More and more teams are trying double initiator or neon comps, but Crew's ideas baked into the history, the evidence base of this comp winning. And I think Crew are super happy to just lean into that, especially with how good Heat has looked. Playing an aggressive fade for them here.
This is a bonus round with quite a lot of bite on the Crew side. Definitely no slouches with the weaponry that they've got in their hands. Sentinels will the ground gain now over towards C, straight into the side. Zekken, sort of satchel movement, it's going to be given up freely. No one eager to really try and fight this one again. Zekken, he's maybe overstepping himself. No, straight through the box. They're all aiming for the one player, but unfortunately it's a 2-for-1 special out through Waterfall. What's the call now going to be made by these Crew players? Complete wraparound. They made their presence known. Now trying to fight through this one. It's a one-way setup though that Tens has popped up. Makes it very difficult to chew through. Prowler has to be committed, and the Prowler's going to be used. At least paranoia, I should say, in response for it. As soon as they get that kill, look at the discipline by Sentinels backing away.
Their plant's in a fantastic position for them to play over towards Mound. This is looking like an anti-bonus here with almost nothing dropped. There's
say that, yeah, there's the reveal. Tens will get picked off, but there's no chances anymore for Crew to win this one. Sentinels have got this one wrapped up nice and pretty.
A break of the armor towards the end is the only silver lining. Exposing the Heat getting out with the Vandal. A very clean round from Sentinels. And John QT is going to read the state of the game really quickly. I think if we start seeing Crew run full C retake setups, Sentinels don't have to use utility to go and take that area. Already, we see a slight adjustment from the pistol round as Zekken takes 2 players with him. A couple friends to accompany him as that push into spawn looks a lot more deadly. And instead of being suckered in, he's the bait that Crew fall for.
Could be a turning point in this round, though. Bit of money being invested for Crew. They do have a showstopper front B main. But Kesnet's going to be laying his eyes on. He's holding this one aggressively. He knows that he can stand his ground and fight this. Doesn't matter what util he's going to be faced with, so.
I think John QT's got a very nice read of how he wants to play these attack sides in general. Playing slowly. It's a little more difficult without the Viper, but I think it's necessary even with the double initiator compositions. The info game is just so powerful on Lotus. And Crew normally play it really well.
Risky to face that one wide with the Prowler. Does connect there. Heat! Sky has been magnificent. Melz is going to be backing him well. Up, tidy with a reset. Still Sentinels might be able to persevere. A little bit of that gunplay coming into effect. So the 2v3. Maybe door open wide. Kesnet. What's their placement? It wasn't quite on point for that one. Shy takes the peek, takes the gamble, backs away now. Wants to try and play this one safely. 35 seconds, roughly in a round. Sentinels definitely have their chances.
And John Cutie is playing mind games over here. Klaus peeks. They could have already got into tree, though. That information just not quite good enough.
Making noise.
The footsteps, though, are going to confirm things. They're heading away from A.
I don't think Klaus heard it, potentially. He might expect it now, yeah, looking in the other direction.
Yeah, they're starting to leave off the site at the moment, and they didn't full clear tree. There's barely any time here for John to get onto the site.
10 seconds left.
But it's going to be Zelsis that gets the plant down. Klaus denied!
Oh, John QT, the savior, comes to his rescue. Could have been a plant now, could have been a round win just like that, and it leaves it for Shy. In a 1v2, Cam takes point, flash to follow. It's too much util right in his face now, Aftershock as well, slowing him down. Trip's going to be dealt with though. Shy just needs to isolate one of these fights here, but a jiggle of the movement, just offset, and he's dancing around him. John QT making Shy look silly.
Phenomenal movement there from John Cutie towards the end. And a player disadvantage situation. Heat did an unbelievable job to get them into a winnable position. But it's Zelsis' kill right there onto Kesnet that I think turns the entire round. Kesnet peeks for information, super confident in himself. No respect given, Zelsis shuts him down instantly. And from there, the two cerebral players on Sentinels can slow the round down. Crew now on a bad buy, looking to control Rubble.
They're going to overwhelm this one. They do have the bodies for it. The John QT setup, just postured. Bluff called. But still, game plan seems pretty clear from Sentinels. They're going to play this one nice and slow at the beginning. Never really rushing into this.
The Horn clears out C there, as Tenzin can take that space, and John is just trying to play as safe as possible. These angles are very difficult for the defenders to push into. So even though you know there's nobody in A lobby, we have full Rebel control. The best case scenario there is just to kind of post up Melzer as he was in the prior round.
Cage triggered.
And then stack the rest of the map. Sen are worried now at this point, though, or they should be, because Rebel control looks really heavy, and Kesnet's thrown a nade over there. But look, Kesnet's already off-site. He has the showstopper. This could still get dangerous.
Yeah, rocket initiation could be dangerous, but lands it just at the feet. A lot of damage done to himself here, but the rest of the team off-site. Kesnet, he's so damn eager. He wants to take the fight straight up. Swinging before the smoke was even bloomed. Shy in and through. Gonna be managed though, at least with his kills going even. But Kesnet, he's still alive here. Finally dropped to the ground. Tens. It's in an aggressive forward position.
Fight on the flank.
All sound cues taken away. And an important one. Melzer winning it. That's a rifle taken away. 2v2 now. Rolling Thunder. Has to be committed. TP forwards. Tens. He's trying to get active. If you can at least take away this one player, Heat. It's becoming a bit of a problem here, jiggling around, but the patience is immaculate. Melzer did manage to pick up that upgrade, but double faced by Sentinels. They take back control of the round.
Well fought by Crew, though, considering that that was a half-buy round. They did commit pretty large ultimates into it. But I think we're seeing a pattern here start to develop on Lotus, that Sentinels are having to dig themselves out of some very difficult spots. That duel on the flank simply can't be going that way regularly, otherwise Sen are going to be in a lot of trouble. Tens was asked to do so much in this round, and he delivered for them.
Kaplan himself can hardly believe it. At this time, an actual committal. That's an interesting take here towards Rubble, right when Crew aren't really fighting this. There's two players ready to see them here with a paranoia. It's going to be used by Melzer. Wants to slow this one down. A lot of noise being made by Sentinels, though. They want to make this feel like it's an A take, and they've left John QT posted into this position for a little bit later. Could be a nasty surprise.
But this is one of the rounds where Sen actually have Rubble control at the start. They've had to use quite a lot of initiator utility for it. And John must not get re-cleared out of this position and die. He chooses the safer option as his team pivot into B.
Crew definitely got players ready to receive this once more. Kesnet might even be there as well. Second, he's taking the lead. Still, he's going to be locked down in place. Can't hit the transfer in time. Kesnet tries to swing in and fight into them once more. Just can't get it with the reset. Now we're going to see another pivot straight over towards C. Klaus is going to be holding this out towards Waterfall. Does have a molly in his back pocket.
Slowing things down now, and Klaus looking for information.
Fault line. Should see it. Flash dodged. Aftershock. Evading most of it, yet still with the rifle now at TP.
Some amazing kills in these rounds from Zelsis. Real impact frags. Not top of the scoreboard as far as I'm aware, but delivering on big ones. That one on Kesnet, this one in this round. Shutting down Klaus. Just putting his team into great spots.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, there's a few times that Kesnet has peaked where I expect, this is where he's going to get the kill that turns things around, and he just hasn't quite delivered. He, I think, is up towards the top of the scoreboard for his team, still fragging well, but in terms of the mid-round fights that decide whether a round goes in your direction or the other, that's where he's not quite finding his value. He had a re-peak here, where he ended up dying trying to stop the B hit from coming through.
Decisions made easy for Melzer. Just got to save the rifle, obviously. Sitting onto the other side of the map here. Sentinels, despite a bit of a rocky beginning, our lead in 2 rounds in terms of the difference between these two teams, but it's just been a string of them, hasn't it?
Yeah, and this re-peak here from Kesnet, he gets one, and then goes for another, and gets shut down by John Cutie. John Cutie and Zelsis delivering in a big way, and frustration and the crossed legs as well. Just all the body language seeming to indicate that Kesnet's not quite happy with what's going on.
His team still has faith in him, though. Nels is going to hand over the rifle, even though it's a weaker buy round.
And both teams fighting rubble.
Yeah, might see a really heavy clash occurring finally. Kesnet, first blood. Let's draw it. Still a heavy committal by a couple of these crew players here. And Zekken just due diligence shown. Is going to be clearing a lot of these corners and the boxes as the wall. They've got it. Ready here with a seized nade. Off to the back. And Zelsis is pressed forwards.
That's lovely.
Setting up Kesnet quite nicely for all of these fights. Still, do they choose to fight this one? Sentinels might be overstepping themselves, but risks need to be taken in this instance still. It's a spike drop down way out in the open.
There's enormous player advantage over towards rubble, and the way that Kesnet has played it is just perfect. How are you ever getting that spike back? Look at the amount of crew players just grouped up on top of the spike over here. It's ridiculous. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get that back with an Omen ult.
No, there's no chance.
Can't use that yet.
Well, every single option's watched for as well. I mean, what does Senny go for, man? Look at this.
Yeah.
Doubled up watching Babydor, doubled up watching main. Kesnet's got stairs on lock.
If Sassy had a seize, he'd be able to catch the whole team apart from Kesnet in one.
30 seconds left.
They're going to try and take the option out through the Babydor, but it's individualistic, isn't it?
Oh, what else?
John just can't really swing into it.
Has John spotted the fact that
there's no chance?
There's a whole team guarding that position?
Yeah, not enough time. So
yeah.
Crew.
That's a lovely round, though. And Kesnet coming up with the goods.
10 seconds left.
He gets that opening kill, his first of the game so far in round 7. And then he's also part of a really nice Season Aid combo that flushes Zelsis out into the open. And I think, so far the rubble fights that we've seen have been both teams looking to contest it when the other isn't. When Sen wanted to fight it, Crew were not going for it. That's the first round in round 7, where both teams have really clashed. And here you see that the defenders, when they've got this many bodies in the area, it's just really tough for Sen to get anything done. Remember, they don't have an attacking Viper wall to cut up angles.
Exactly.
Crossfires are open. Interesting little speckle of insight from the team there in the team chat as well.
I didn't see it. What was it?
They were talking about they love the refight over towards A, like Cap was saying.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be in time just for the Sen timeout.
So Cap can say it again.
He can say it again.
Yeah. But I think overall, the slower pace of things where Sentinels don't try to fight over A lobby, I think that was still working fairly well.
Yeah.
John was pressuring in that area and they were getting good information to know when to capitalize on C. And if things go into C retake scenarios, I think Sentinels should be feeling fairly good about that. The crew retakes have looked solid, but Sen's players have been able to deliver when it matters. And they've got good layers of protocols around that, you know, sometimes pushing spawn, planting in good spots where they can play for mound. The duo play has been there as well, like when TenZ capitalized on that Rolling Thunder in a clutch 2v2.
This goes here.
But it now has been a pretty big round there to flip the economy on its head. Crew now with a good buffer.
I'm very curious. Here. And on the other side of things here, they know they're going to be trying to deny this ult orb, at least. They don't want to give easy access to Kesnet when he's one away from this showstopper, but just feigning. Like they could be fighting over that A rubble control. Send out the util, send the cam forward, now over towards C mount.
It looks like they want to take the timing as Crew are still over towards A. Yeah, this is all about trying to beat the defensive rotates.
Well, the util though in the choke point.
And that's the problem. Can you beat it when there's all this Viper and Killjoy util down?
It's a big separation. Zekin is way ahead of the rest of his team here, and Kesnet is already in the fight with that kill, and a showstopper earned. It's even more cascading series of events here for the Crew players, right on top of the ball.
And that's why Crew feels so comfortable fighting A rubble with 4 players at the start of the round, because they have nanoswarm setups, snakebite setups that delay that first wave of attacking utility, and then the defenders are already there by the time you get into your second wave. Second and TenZ completely isolated and shut down by Kesnet, who is now finding his moments.
Once more, these options are going to be removed. It's a fault line. Middle now into the side here, but again, look at this hold over towards Waterfall. Spam and util. Sent flying here by Crew. It's waves of it. Seeking to delay with only 20 seconds left onto the clock, and Sassy at some point will have to commit to this, and when that time comes, gonna be at that disadvantage, if not already. Kesnet is ripping them, tearing them asunder still, spraying them through and down, but 9 seconds remaining, down into that 1v2, 7 bullets, and Sassy left a spot, can't claim it. Heat was low enough, 1 kill is all that's really necessary, but time's ran short. Well, a go there, now doubled up, swinging off the contact. Crew up to 4.
Wait until I blind them to strike.
A nice try by Sentinels, but this one of the few times in which they haven't been able to recover whilst down a couple of players. The 3v5 ends up being just too much for them to overcome. So you got to say, nice try. This, though, is how Kesnet, got back in to this round. And I just don't think this adjustment is going to work. Trying to find fast-paced timings, the defenders are always going to have protocols for that, especially when you're going up against a team as good as Crew.
Shadows traveling.
Bring them down.
Crew are eager to turn the heat up. Going to be meeting and receiving all that util. Again, they want to fight that, but the fault line just in time. So that just puts a stop to it. There's no casualties on either side.
That's very eager from Crew, and John immediately mops up the space over towards Rubble. If Crew are not fighting there, John is going to be there. Is there any level of a re-clear? I think it would be difficult without Melza playing in tree. Normally that paranoia re-clear is how you want to go for stuff like this. So Crew, even though they have mound information, actually I feel like they're in a worse defensive spot than they usually are, because they don't have deep A control.
Very difficult for them to set up any semblance of a re-clear. Making noise now with the door opened up. Deep cage as well.
We can see that this is probably going to end in a B split. And so Senna just trying to drag as many bodies over towards A as they can. This is going to be pressure on Shy.
Almost like that, Melza, paranoia. Sweeps through, already to play. Sentinels into the side here, Shy. No chance for him to see if he can even it out with a nade, rebounding into the C's. John QT narrowly avoiding it. Won't be falling. Not right now, still a 5v5, despite all of it. He sends it through, at least with the eye. Be revealing quite a bit. A reposition of TenZ just to be happening. No kills happening. Opened up as well with the door and a fault line to slow it. Klaus might get picked off, just jiggling around. And Sentinels, they do have control, at least at the front section. Crew now, pace injected. Straight into things here, but a Neurofeth revealing. All still with the kills. They might be able to collect it and claim it. Off angle of Melza. It's good and true. At least to find it, but time's still ticking, and the nade rebounds, lands, pushing them away, and no more chances at all. Sentinels.
A great post-plant played by Senna. Celsius reflags from his position in B main over towards A, And that fault line that you called out towards Melza, it feels like it's coming from B main, right? But it's actually coming from Rubble. It just goes through the walls, disguises his reflank, and he's in blue room with an aftershock, and Zelsis also has Zekken with a nade. How are you winning this retake when there's an aftershock coming through the wall and a nade coming through the wall? It just takes him too much time.
Yeah.
And if you think back to how Sen used to play this post plant as well, with Killjoy mollies being thrown in and huge amounts of post plant lineups, they've really refined those B post plants.
You see it now. Be a bit of a tussle though over towards that C-mount angle. Somehow Melza escaped most of it, but the trades are on point. Sentinels with the player advantage.
And Crew have changed up their defensive setup. They're no longer fighting as heavily over towards Rubble, hoping to catch Sen off guard.
And that's one not broken.
But I think they fixed it before it was broken, to be honest with you, because this adjustment where they fought early B in round 9 and now they fought early C in round 10, it hasn't worked. Sen have had the advantages.
Stray shots from Shy.
Bring them down.
Hoping for a blessing in disguise there. Very difficult to get themselves through into this one already. Sen's committing that paranoia. Slowing down a step with Crew. That might help though. Already evened it up to 3 versus 3. Cage in their face still. It's slow and delayed. As soon as that first player, there's no trade in sight as heat was dropped. Shy with just the Guardian can't do it. So barely a lead to Crude and gained here by Sen. Still holding on to it.
And winning the gun rounds. Crew have won the pistol and the follow-up, and then they won a thrifty to be able to get themselves back online in the middle. That's what you're seeing in the timeline there. They've only won a single gun round against Sentinels. John's calling and the great post-plant discipline and protocols of Sen are prevailing in these tough spots. Yeah. Now Crew knocked onto another thrifty, this time not with players stacked over towards A, so the danger not quite there for Sen. No. But Sentinels are going to play slow, and if, in playing slow, they end up finishing towards B, well, there's a nasty surprise for them waiting around here. Could this also end up being a mound crunch?
Yeah, it could be. Melza has a paranoia. They're already pinging it. He's got the angle for it. As soon as some util is going to be used, turret contact perhaps. Yeah, that was it. That was a trigger. They want to send it flying now forwards. And there's no response in sight for Sentinels. Not ready for a second! Up and over the top. Just when you least expect it.
That's beautiful. And John's got the read. A is open. So Crew with a gorgeous trap play that nets them 2, and it could have been another thrifty. But it's not looking like that's the way this round is going to crumble.
Awareness off the charts.
Can Crew salvage anything with the 2 heavy hitters Kesnet and Heat have delivered all year long?
And the stage 1 statistically, I mean, those 2 guys side by side near the top. Even more impressive that Heat's been doing it with a roll shift.
But this one looks
a lot.
Very, very difficult. I mean, again, Aftershock and Nade available for Zelsis and Zekken.
And already time, I mean, time's ticking. It's gone.
It feels fairly impossible.
You just can't commit. You have to save this, even though you've got the money to buy next.
Yeah, I mean, you have money to buy next, and it's the last round, though, so you might as well send something.
Let's see. Kesnet doing some damage to them at least, but already look at the position being played. Tucked. Safety for Zelsis.
And a couple there to boost the stats towards the end. Heading into our final round here, then, of Sentinels' attack side on Lotus. Our Crew have been struggling. I think they were doing best when they were controlling Rubble and ending with the C retakes. The dodge on the fault line is nice, but that splash all over Mound, it's like it's custom made to just scatter those fragments from the rocket in all directions.
Could have been a dismal round from Sentinels if Zekken didn't turn around the fade of it just with that one showstopper. Once more, we're going to see another clash. One more util is going to be accompanying it from Crew's side of things. Revealed. No one breaking the horn, so almost going down. There with the punishment, Melza is lucky to be alive.
Sen don't like what they saw on that side of the map. And now with things quieting down over towards a Rubble, Klaus pops his ultimate in this direction. Could they send this with Nightfall breach ult?
Yeah.
Certainly looks like
Exactly what's going to be occurring. There's a slight gap towards the back of the site there with a nade flying forwards. The pit's going to be going down. Still, they have that Utah to the lake. Kesnet! Rocket forwards flying, but whistles right past and no casualties. Nobody falling still. Sassy, it's going to be late to the party there, missing the timing to take it straight past and through, and still
he has the spike.
Seconds.
I mean, if there was any level of a push out through A, you look how Celsius and Zekken both coming back to escort the spike in case anything bad happens.
There's twists and turns in this last round in this first half. It's looking like they wanted to commit over towards B. Shy asleep at the wheel. A little bit delayed. Taking that spam damage backs away here with a lockdown. Now held into his hands, and this will be a bit of a problem. A sticking point for Sentinels. What do you choose to do? You're forced into the B site. It's the only one really open towards you. Tens. An important job for him. He's got to try and hold down this B main angle, but he's being reflanked at the exact same time by Klaus. Sight. Finally getting Sassy with a plan. Going to be sticking this one.
Spike planted.
Angles.
Whoa, the timing.
And a game of that timing, like you were saying, Tens versus Klaus. It's so damn important. Tens. He wins it out. The last two players known and noted. Melzer is on an island. Got to make a go of things. But nothing to his name to really work with, just a rifle in his hands. Smoke will dissipate. Here's the reload, but way too many targets. Surely it's an impossibility.
And Sentinels, 8-4 at the half, powered by that post-plant play. Incredible win rate for that. 8 out of 9 of their post-plants they converted. Against a team that wanted to play retake against them at the very beginning of this. And Crew are no slouches. Still with 4, they'll be looking to run it back on their own attack side. But I think Sen will be feeling pretty happy about that one.
Oh, yeah. That's insane consistency for the first half of Lotus. Well, we heard earlier from Tens about what he had to say about his squad and how they're feeling heading into stage 2.
I think it's always hard to chase the previous form you had before. So going into the next stage, I think we're just hoping that we can like bring something new into the game, make it really hard for the opponents to read us once again, not be like an open book where people just have millions of odds on us. So I definitely think that being able to enter this next stage without a target on our back is very nice. And being able to like grind and feel like we can be like an underdog again is really nice as well.
Recapturing that underdog spirit seems to be of the utmost importance to this Sen squad. They obviously let their advantages or let their position at the top of the world slip a little heading out of Madrid. They couldn't quite recapture that fire, that hunger. But now they're back in that kind of spot. And that's why a lot of people are expecting them to be able to sail towards champs and put up a good performance there. But nothing is for certain at this spot in the stage.
There's no guarantees. A lot of competitive teams overall in Americas getting heated in the audience between these two teams. We'll see if Crew can battle back in the second half here of Lotus.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the team comps and how they should want to play, I think Sen will be looking to go for retakes. So we could very well end up in a game at the end of Lotus here where most of Sentinel's success has come in the post-plant by winning them and by winning the retakes on the other half.
Yeah.
Because that, I think, is where this double initiator composition is going to thrive. For Crew, it's about picking up the huge ultimates that your composition has, and that starts with getting pistol rounds, getting bonus rounds on the board to begin with. I don't want to put anything in the water, but if you think back to one of the most famous times that these two teams clashed, Crew were down 8-4 at the half, multiple times ran it back with pistol bonus, and absolutely destroyed the hopes and dreams of Sen.
Yeah, these two
way back in 2021.
They've got that history. The matchup put Crew essentially on the map, I think, for the wider Western audience. Both of these teams started this year looking to really turn things around, have that redemption run. You can argue that they've achieved it to a degree, but the season's not over just yet.
And for Crew, I mean, yeah, they've achieved a great regular season record, but their performance in playoffs left a lot to be desired, and that's what they'll be setting their eyes on. They really need at least one big win to feel happy about their record and getting into playoffs.
Trip's broken. Sentinel's going to be alerted to this one. Now TenZ is very alone. Stands his ground. Is going to be beckoning them even further forward. Do you dare take the fight against him? Paranoia has to go flying forwards, at least with the nade. There's no follow-up. No one's holding that angle because, again, the util is perfect. He's caught the timing. Slipped it around, straight through behind. Almost to the back, 7 seconds there to deliver. A dagger to the back of multiple players. They just weren't expecting it. And Crew almost squandering this chance for them. Still, it's a 2v3. 30 seconds left. Spike still theirs, and Senna happy to give them a bit of space. A tap at a plant.
Looking to try to bait out that util. Quantum flash available for Zelsis and Sassy.
Shy has to back away from this one still. He might be able to do it. Tap goes the Ghost, doubled up alongside it, but Shy not able to claim one of his own. 1v2 now for him, still with a Haunt. Ready there, but he chooses and opts into the gun, still out and ready. John QT. More of a man, though, for that matchup.
You see that headshot, aim punch, flies onto Heat, and he's unable to land the kill on the other side. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the decision making there actually from TenZ second, but the quality of the players and the unexpected timing ends up working out. How does Second get another one in that spot when he's being faced from tree at the same time as stairs?
That is crazy.
The fact he gets the second is remarkable, and TenZ has found the most ridiculous timing as Malzahz is back to him. Bonkers. The Second and TenZ put their team at a player advantage in that spot, in my opinion, but it works out for them. And that's a pistol on the board that is important, of course, because it gets sent up to 9, but also it halts a little bit of the momentum that Crew would have had going forwards to picking up big ultimates.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, Crew, pretty much all their round wins so far. Been off the back of the pistol round wins, Thrifty wins. They lose this one. They haven't been looking too hot in the gun v guns. Sentinels have just been holding that down as their domain.
It's very true. And speaking of thrifty rounds and unusual things going in Crew's direction, Kesnet, Klaus has bought him a Guardian in this round. Pretty similar to what we saw from C9 earlier on and
turned him into the Chinese raid boss.
Yeah, he's got full armor as well. Looking at trying to take fights against anybody who might have an outlaw.
Well, grouped up, they haven't broken this trip. It's a deep enough angle as well. A lot of util won't be clearing it. As they contact that, they will hear it. So it's going to be broken. Util held by Zelsis. The fault line was ready for most of this round, but doesn't choose to opt into it. Instead, they're just willing to give most of the side up to Crew. Only 30 seconds left.
And I think Sen should be very happy playing Flood retakes with this comp.
Tap. Aftershock alongside the nade. Flies forwards and back and around. Sentinels still with the cam. They're dissecting this site and ripping apart potentially these chances. Still Crew. These are the classics in hands, making the most of everything. Kesnet falling, he was the one with the weapon.
So a couple early casualties but cleaned up very quickly there. Klaus is only going to be able to come into the next round with... Well, actually, I'm not sure how much utility he used in this one. They did get the plant down. That could end up making all the difference.
But overall, not looking too good for Crew. Economy going to be taking a hit.
Looked dangerous for a moment there.
Yeah.
Klaus even managing to get a kill with his classic is going to really help his economy. He should still be able to afford a rifle. Going to be stuck on a Guardian, though. Had to rebuy some of that utility.
Oh!
Casualty early on there as well.
Get some workers' compensation on the line. I mean, that's that's brutal. Just knocked him over.
Call the lawyers that I saw in the pre-show.
Yeah.
They don't look they don't look like the kind that you would want to get in touch with, though.
Don't mention lawyers, man. I've had enough. I've had enough this year. Time out for Crew. They know it has to be the impetus, the turning point, I think, into the map, because, you know, as we've been mentioning, I mean, every round really pointing in the direction that Sentinels are going to be taking this. They've been looking sublime when it comes to the gun rounds. It's only the pistol rounds and the thrifties that have got Crew even on the board with these 4 rounds that we're seeing right now. And, you know, with the gamble that they took into Kesnet, the economy is going to be a little bit weak. They're going to have some rifles heading into this next one, but it's all on this. They haven't had a chance really to build up too many big ultimates. Heat's going to be 2 away just from the plans that they've got, but it's rough out there.
And normally I don't feel great about teams taking timeouts this early on in a half, but I think it's obvious right from the beginning that Sen are going to be trying to play retake mostly. And so Crew need to think about post plants, about saving as much utility as they can before they get into the site.
Time to work.
Nobody's going to be meeting most of this util. Sees the nade, the fault line, it's all going to be heard. At least by Klaus. Should be coming this to the rest of his team. I wonder they've got that hard and heavy commitment. Ten's playing for his life as well, just backs his way. Kesnet, jump spot, this is risky from him. There's really no support from the rest of his team. Paranoia forwards. Big safety in Fury's players as a nade rebounded. Tens was blinded.
That's very cool.
Yep, couldn't see anything. Straight towards the back of the pillar. John QT oversteps himself. He's eager to try and play off those kill trips that he had set up online. The angles is all being watched for there. So with 2 players dropping from Sentinels. Limited options to play. He's back into this round, especially now with the spike planted for Crew. Get that extension.
It's all just about damaging the Crew economy here. You're not really expecting to win the 3v5, though obviously, if you can pull it off, it's ridiculously good.
Waiting for the horn timing. Now, the time to strike is nice. Straight through like a rocket Zekken, but he is going to be brought down. Dropped in the process, hearing this rumble of the footsteps. Shy be collecting all the stragglers off on to the flank. Building up towards the ults.
That's pretty perfect there from Crew. You want to be building up as close as you can to an excellent economy, excellent ult economy. They were prioritizing the plant onto Kesnet, so he gets closer to his showstopper. 1 away from Nightfall, don't lose a single rifle. Barely even have to rebuy the armor. I mean, flawless in every sense of the word there. These are the kind of rounds you need in order to get your feet underneath you.
Gun round v gun round. Here's where the danger lies. It's going to be that clash and brawl once more. Towards A Rubble. Sentinels seeing if they can be favored into this one. Deep TP by Meltzer. Straight over the top. The Prowler really pushing him back, though. The space is given up by Sentinels. They want nothing to do with it.
Right there.
Making the rotations.
It looks kind of difficult, I think, for Celsius to anchor onto the A site. I would imagine that he's just playing this spot for information and then he backs off over towards Heaven. As Sen are looking for any potential pivot towards B. As Crew, Klaus, the IGL who's picked back up the reins. Calling a very slow one here.
Yeah. The positioning of the Sentinels players, it's like they're anticipating it's going to be pivot over towards the B site.
But I also like that Crew are not really having to use a huge amount of util, although that investment...
Hearing it. There's a spam there. Still being held for, though, so the trade online, Celsius dropping him.
That's not bad. He did some good damage over towards Celsius as well. 43 health. But like I was... oh, hello.
Fight.
Yeah, that's an important one.
That's being won, and it's going to force out that Nightfall. He had that one for a rainy day, and it appears that has landed here and now. Prowler forward once more. Heavy up towards Heaven. At least going to be double holding into the one-way. Oh, the bait and switch as the smokes drop. Still a 2v3 though, and the angle's not being watched for there. Not anticipated by Heat. Good patience, at least with the rifle play. Tens drop down to 45 health. But the spike ticking away. Sentinels forced to make that decision. Back in, keeping the guns for the next. Crew staying alive.
Big one. Klaus still running that Guardian, which is his purchase from the anti-bonus round. Hasn't been able to upgrade, won't be able to this time either. A weird situation. But this really does feel like it's about who gets that opening. You see how late that first kill is from Kesnet as well. That's another strange aspect to this map too. They've recognized that Sentinels are playing mostly a retake style.
Yeah.
So Crew are taking so much space before the first engagement happens. But just been fed this really cool stat. Crew have won every single round with a Kesnet first kill, and Sentinels have won every single round with a Zekken first kill.
We'll see which way it lands. This way. It's a fight to be taken with the showstopper. Zekken finds his mark and the target falls. Still it's traded out. Tens can't overextend. Still has one more TP. At least for the evacuation, they will get out scot-free.
It's traded so instantly. and Sen lose mount control, and they have the eco advantage, surely this is where that trend breaks down. Surely this is where Crew are still going to be able to convert in the 4v4, despite the fact it was a second first kill.
It's got it. Looks like it's set up for a slam dunk right now for Crew. 1 minute.
They're going to tap the door over towards A, and that's going to start to pull people off. You see, Sassy was thinking about leaving the C site.
It's a noise bait as well, just a reload and a back pedal, hoping that Sentinels will rotate off and around away from the C site. It's still, gotta imagine, there's really no chances here. 40 seconds, Prowler reveals. Now gonna be aware of things here with a showstopper running forward. What? Skims right past it, Tens. Still alive and active and still with that smoke up, but it will be dissipating any time now. Door opened up. Feeling like they're going to pivot. Heads are revealed, and Tens now knows what the job is. He's got to try and put a stop to this one. Already footsteps rumbling towards him. He beckons them in. Straight towards the side. Do you dare overstep yourself? And a 1 kill found. 12 seconds left. Gun not in sight for John QT. Can't really seem to deny, but at least the aftershock will. Still spraying them down. 6 seconds remain. It could come down to the minute of differences and details. Still the smoke plumed up in his face. Dropping down. Klaus nails it.
Hard fought. Great try from Tens on site, but finally the trend is broken. A big play from Zekken at the start of the round with his showstopper, but Crew respond with that advantage, with that lovely protocol to re-clear over towards Mound. They convert. What on earth was this, though? Kisnet gets ruined in that spot by somebody who's just running at him. Wasn't expecting that from Sassy. 7 to 10, though. The gap is closing. Crew getting dangerously close now to pulling off a serious comeback. I'm going to go for the timeout here, looking to adjust. I think when you're playing a heavy retake style, it can work against so many teams that don't recognize that. But I think Crew are doing an amazing job in these kind of spots of still playing the map slowly, working it, threatening that they could be ending all over. And when you do that, you make it difficult for Sen to group up on a certain site and get ready to flood defend instantly. The super fans over towards the back. Electric atmosphere out here.
A resident cheer squad.
And think about it, last year it would have been a library in here. I mean, the Crew fans would have gone for it, but neither of these teams were really doing anything up until LCQ, where Crew really got on their run famously. But this year, this is a proper clash of the top teams.
It is. And we were promised a real good match between these two teams. You just take a gander and peek at their standings to know that. Crew are finally getting that momentum back underneath them. String of rounds. See if they keep the streak going.
So Shy probably going to be the player prioritizing the ult-op. Yep, he's got the lockdown, and Zekken's here ready to throw a nade and break it. Do we see that counterplay? Do they save it?
Zekken, just a believe holding potentially the util out into the open. I mean, Kesner just takes the fight straight up. They've flooded themselves into the site. John QT.
He's trapped.
He is corralled into the corner now, and he needs to win that fight out. It's not the case. Kesner firing on all cylinders.
That's an amazing call from Crew. Zekken's on site with his nade ready to break lockdown. They use it in the plant to push back the Sen players and stop them from going for a flood defense. They've also got the Viper Orb lineup from Klaus so that they can play around that in Waterfall. Look at all the space they've gathered in Waterfall right now, playing off that Viper Orb. This is an amazing round call by Crew. I was talking you through the basics of like what most teams would do. All right, well, you get the ult orb, you have a lockdown. You know, you have the Raze on the other side looking to try to counter it. Crew are already one step ahead of the counter, and they burst into C before the lockdown. Really unexpected timing. Caught Zekken heavily off guard. And then also have that lockdown to stop the flood defense from coming through. I think that's beautifully called.
Crew are so heads up, hunting down the guns. They know how necessary it is that they stay alive in Ascend players' hands. Sassy, tucked tight, up close. A lot of pressure being applied to them, but they still keep them intact there. Have to see it in the replay as well. I think, like you said, it's a masterclass in terms of the calling. One step ahead, expecting that kind of reaction from Sentinels. Zekken wasn't even utilized to his hands. He just knew that they had already hard committed. Just tried to take the fight straight up.
Yeah, he just loses it. We've been talking about this battle between the two. Honestly, they are two titans of Americas. Last stage, we were bigging up that clash between Kesnet and Aspas, but Zekken always at the top of the Duelist v Duelist. And now the battle between the Omens. Oh my! Traded out. Neither team with smokes online. Klaus, though, is always going to be able to provide that secondary ability to cut off these angles, and especially with Pit in the back of his pocket, that could be amazing in the post plan.
Yeah, if he lays that one down, it's going to make that retake much more difficult. Zelsis is the one placed into a tricky spot. He's got to come up with the goods, and he's got Zelsis at least second up at his back. Offset with the movement. It's the bait and switch, pressing the advantage further forwards. At least with the Nightfall.
But Klaus fell. No Pit. As Sen continued to apply that pressure. And it goes down into a 2v2. I feel like Sen have been very good in these kind of positions, but they were always in the post plant previously. They always had that advantage of the spike being down.
And it's all been slow to a crawl. Sentinels wanted to take this one nice and easy now. Just the one player revealing their presence, but still doubled up side-by-side heat. Shy could potentially swing off. Here's contact! Can't wrangle the beast. That is that rifle. John QT getting a move on. Knows it's down to the 1v1. Few straight bullets! Just missing. Going wide. It's Shy who dominates that fight. And now Crew, one more round to evening it up. 10-10.
What a comeback this has been. Crew's call-in has been excellent. The way that they fight over towards the site, and Kesnet again finding that opener onto Zekken, winning the Raze 1v1, winning the Duelist battle, cementing his dominance late in this map. The comeback is on here. It's going to be difficult for Sen to stop.
Once more, skirmish over towards A rubble. Nade sees the connection, at least with the pole line. Tens attempting to punish, just jiggling with it. The rifle in hand, he's doing the most. Already 2 dropped down. What is going to be the answer from Crew here? Surely you back away. Do you refight this? But the spike is hard committed. Kesnet is way ahead of the curve. The rest of his team cannot stand to it. Tens! Indomitable!
Difficult! Not for Tens! How has he managed this? His team goes for almost a refight over towards Rubble. They don't take the duel at the very beginning, and instead they throw a delayed haunt to set Tens up for that opening kill. Then once this machine gets posted onto the angle, he's locked in.
Locked in. Look at him, man. Another day in the office.
That is a beastly round. And that only gets Sen to 11.
Yeah.
2 away from the lead. 2 away from closing out the map. The fans are going nuts, but the danger is not over. Not by any means here.
By any means, still.
Crew are going to look to respond instantly going into their tack timeout.
Gotta love it when the ace is so good you forget the sponsor plug. Happens every now and then. And Tens has stormed the board, man, with that string of kills together. 18 now, leading it for his team. All right, job's not finished. Map's not over.
The rest of the team, though, not even required for that one. There was good setup. And especially that haunt from Sassy really opened the door for Tens. But you got to think, honestly, in some of those other situations where Tens only gets 1 or 2, I think the rest of Sen were right there behind him. Crew are not going to commit to the rubble fight. They've been scared off just a little. And a small tickle over towards Klaus. Not much serious damage done.
It's the added element with the Odin spam.
Have we got a line up for a haunt here? No, Sassy's already used it.
I mean, Zelsis has a chance he gets punished now, but already with the positioning he's backed away. At least the Nightfall. He's going to scurry back to the rest of his team. Doesn't want any of the smoke, especially with Kesnet. Showstopper.
Look how well they're saving post-plant utility here, though. They have Pit, they still have Paranoia.
Yeah,
they
so
still have
tools.
the Showstopper.
Exactly. Klaus, quick little tap. Showstopper now going to be used. Up and around! And the rocket against the back wall. just about claims 10s.
Shut down the danger man of round 20 early on.
And now there's a fast play pace injected here by Sentinels. They're going to try and go quick into this one. Already with that spike planted down alongside the pit. Still up, still active. The murky depths, you got to try and wade your way through. Melzer, make sure to hold down that tree avenue and angle. Spray down with the Odin, not earning too much, and Heat might get tricked with it. Timing to be taken, and he does indeed swing right through the back. Just rips out the heart of Sentinels.
A slap back with ults as the showstopper stopped that ability for the retake to happen for Sentinels, and then the pit is there afterwards too. Another good example of Crew understanding that Sen are simply not going to anchor the site. They're not going to flood defend, they're going to flood retake, they're going to wait for the plant to go down, and that gives you a timing to do stuff like this. Now, having said that though, we've seen 2 ridiculous rounds back to back. One an ace, one powered by ults. You're not going to see those very often. That bank has now been depleted for Crew, and Sen dominate rebel control.
Ult burn for Zekken. Now going to be one step away, at least 1 kill away. Getting the big ult of his own. Game plan for Sentinels, pretty standard. Crew, once more, not even looking to turn up the tempo. They are just contacting through such a heavy read. Melzer's in there.
Yeah.
There's no one covering his back. They don't have backside control.
Yeah, I mean, look how good these reads are. As much as Crew... Wait, there's the catch.
And they've lost B main control because of it.
Having said that, I still feel like their post-plan positioning is pretty good here. They're looking to try to bait out a lot of information from Sen. But that ult is good. It tells them they're not playing heavy over towards site.
Rolling Thunder, second ping of things, points exactly towards the position of these players. Now the backside needs to be held down by Melzer. At the same time, flanking around Zekken. Ult earn, rocket out and around. Sends it flying, lets it loose, but no kill. Still the damage is there. And a collection on all sorts of players. It's a feed filled up with blue. And Sentinels up to that 12.
The ultimates fly back in the other direction there. The kill on the Shy ends up being so important. The neural theft gives away all of the positioning in the post plant. The breach ult didn't necessarily connect, but it at least got Zekken into a position to make this play. And the rest of the team takes all of that space behind their superstar duelist. No ults really across the board though. The game's afoot again. Sen only need 1, and Zekken's picked up the operator over towards C. Nobody on Crew, though, looking to go in that direction. At least not for now.
End up walking straight back into it. The tipping point, potentially, of the map. With the money all evened out.
I think Crew have had a fantastic read on how to get into the sites well. Again, they find a site with nobody home. They can get a plant down.
Open for the taking.
They've previously been very good in the post-plant situations as well. That's how this comeback started. But Sen have found their way back into things.
They don't have position surrounding B main. In fact, Tens may have even just heard a footstep. He's overstaying it. He's making sure that he's got that watchful eye.
It's just it's so common to go for the reflank.
Melzer sends it, loses the fight out. On the other side of things, Haunt, at least with the reveal, needs to be cleaned up though, and Klaus will finally fall. Sentinels, surely not like this. The aid earned, and with it rebounding, it sets them up. Skipping, hopping, at least for the shorty, still need to manage it. Heat, it's down to the wire, QT, sticking away.
What a Red Bull clutch from Heat there! I thought we were going to see the end of the map in unbelievable fashion. Gotta be down to the milliseconds there. Barely any time left for him to pull off that Red Bull clutch.
Could not get closer.
How did Zekken pull this one off as well? Where's the nade kill onto Melzer come from? And the second nade allowed him to kill Shy. Required heroics, but we're into the final round of regulation.
All or nothing. Barely any time to breathe. But the Heat buys him that lifeline, a player who has absolutely stepped up this entire year, revitalized Crew, set them on that road to redemption that they were hunting for at the beginning of 2024 still. Util going to be used, making sure to clear this site Wide and open, a heavy committal. They've lost control of the flank. Might be looking for a brawl.
Is this a fight on the flank?
Not too sure. They hear all the footsteps. Klaus, no gun in sight. Still with the ults though. Yep. The Knights out here. How do you fight through this? Nightfall forward. Shy is ahead of it. TP back and around. Belzer, what can you do? Cleaned up again. It's a 2v4. And the issue's been forced, Crew. The only side accessible, you have to go towards C, but I don't even know if it's cleared out. What a call by Sentinels.
And Crew, for the first time, hesitating.
Spike planted.
They've managed to read the empty site every time on their attack half. And this time they hesitated, they double guessed.
Doors open. Trepidation in the aim of Heat. All this to drag it to OT. Gets it with the ult, sees the paranoia. That's loose. Now the fuse gonna be turning. Rocket sails past, and one will remain. Heat. Surely you can't do it. Tapping away, cannot dodge it. Stunned up, and Sentinels barely there. But a map 1 win at 13-11.
Hand on the chest, and a bit of a sigh of relief for Celsius as he stands up. He played amazingly. The breach impact was fantastic. And yet still, Kesnit with the entries and Klaus with the call had made that very difficult for Sentinels to close out. And they're amazing on Lotus.
Yeah. They're talking down to the wire between these two teams just for map 1.
And if you were tuning into this one, hoping for a clash between two god-level duelist players, well, my word, did map 1 deliver, and I hope the rest of the series does too.
Yeah. Certainly got it. Heavy hitters.
So many moments.
Deadlifting for their teams, of course. Could be taking a short break. That's map 1, all wrapped up, stepping away. Of course, the analyst desk has got you all covered for that critical map number 2. Don't go anywhere.
Hey guys, it's Jimmy Lin. In this series, I'm going to walk you through attack on Pearl. Watch out for the stairs, clear this angle. You're going to be able to fight this.
Red Bull gives you wings.